I'm Greg James, and you're listening to Sonic Superhero, the story of David Guetta.
Uploading.
He has 32 million followers on Facebook, which is double Obama.
I love David Guetta because I love house and electro.
He tweets to 4 million people.
David Guetta. No, it's David Guetta. He gets annoyed when I say Guetta.
Sold a ridiculous amount of records.
That means that David Guetta and Kelly Rowland are number one.
This album is already up to 4.2 million.
And I was like, oh my God, I have to meet David.
He does 150 gigs plus a year. He's done Japan, Australia, Coachella.
Kochamy Davida Guetta!
Miluję Guetu, he's the best.
Szeretünk David Guetta, te vagy a legjobb.
He played New Year's Eve to over 2 million people in one show.
I love David Guetta because he's brought back the dance.
So it's truly global, it's truly international.
David Guetta has become a complete phenomenon in the modern pop and dance music landscape. I mean, he's kind of revolutionised modern music.
If David doesn't get a club going, then boy, I don't know who else would, you know? He gets the party started, yeah.
First, I wanted to make the people dance.
What are we supposed to do? When everything that felt so right is wrong.
You are listening to Sonic Superhero, the story of David Guetta on BBC Radio 1.
I love David Guetta because he's doing the best dance music of the world.
David Guetta is my hero because he's awesome.
Greg James, thank you for meeting me here.
No worries, Beats. Anything for my favourite computer. What is all this about, by the way?
We need you to uncover David Guetta's secrets.
What do you mean?
David Guetta is a force that is building beyond any human control. We believe that he has superhuman powers. He's a sonic superhero. If he gets too big and we don't know more about him, there is no telling what he might be able to achieve. There'll be no stopping his abilities.
And this is bad, why?
It's not a bad thing, but the intel we have on his sonic superpowers are patchy to say the least. We need to know more.
But why me?
You're a self-confessed Guetta nerd.
Yes, I know. Well, thank you very much.
You already know a lot. We've organised a meet with him. You can assume your role as Radio 1 presenter, he won't suspect you, and you can get the scoop.
Okay, Beats. So, what have you got on Guetta so far, then?
We know that he has collaborated with America's biggest R&B stars, will.i.am, Kelly Rowland, Akon, the likes of the UK's Jessie J and Australian singer Sia. He has made 5 albums. He has #1 records all over the world, has won award after award, including a Grammy. Last year he was #1 in DJ Mag's Top 100 DJs poll. But that's the headline stuff. We need more.
More?
His last 2 albums combined elements of American hip-hop and European house music. Then something vital happened. David Guetta made dance music popular in the US. We need to understand him better. I have a few people, a few insiders to help you out.
Okay, hit me. Who you got?
The singers he has worked with. Chris Willis.
Hi, Greg.
Kelly Rowland.
Check.
Jessie J.
What up, Greg?
The DJs, Pete Tong.
Hi, Greg.
Nicky Romero is on the phone ready.
Hey, Greg.
The journalist, Ben Murphy.
Hi, Greg. I'm Ben Murphy, editor of DJ Mag.
And the boss.
Hi, my name is Caroline Prothero and I'm David Guetta's manager.
Wow, good team. Do I get to wear a special suit?
No.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, Lycra can get very sweaty. Can I be naked?
What?
What? No, nothing. Okay, where do I start?
Here is where you are making contact with David. We want to know what makes him tick, how he functions, what his weaknesses are, and how it all began. We want you to get inside his beat-riddled brain.
Right, okay then. Here I go. David Guetta. So I've been tasked with getting under the skin of the sonic superhero, piece together the intel. The team has organised me to speak to him via video technology. Me in Radio 1 so as not to blow my cover, and he in the offices of his music empire. Nevertheless, my plan? Act as normal as I can and go into radio presenter mode.
David Guetta, thank you very much for joining me. How are you today?
Oh, it's a pleasure. I wish I was at Radio 1, but my heart is with you, my friend.
Well, my heart is very much with you too.
Oh, thank you.
So I'd just like to know the origins of David Guetta. Where did it all happen? What was the first thing you did and you just thought, yes, I want to be in music, I want to make music? What was the first thing?
Okay, so this is gonna make me look very, very old, but it's just the way it happened. When I was a child, there was the beginning of the FM radios. Before that, radios were on AM waves, you know, and then they used FM waves, but that was pirate, okay? So, you know, I was listening every day when I was supposed to be in my bed. I was listening to those radios, and at the time, it was really like against the system, you know, because the radios were playing such terrible music that these guys, you know, wanted to create a new world. And it was like club DJs that were coming and mix funk, you know, during the day. And that's how I discovered what a DJ was, because I was a child and of course I couldn't get into a club. And I started to be obsessed with DJs. I started to do edits and special mixes, and I've learned really, I was a bedroom DJ. So every day after school, I would practice my mixing, and that's how I started. And then one day when I started to DJ in front of people, so first, you know, it was like parties in my basement for my mates, you know, and you know what's really crazy when I think about it? I was charging like £1 to get in.
You charged people to get into your gigs when you were a kid?
No, yeah, because, you know, I had no money, and I had to buy like orange juice and cola, you know, for everyone, and and the only way I could do that was to charge like £1 to get in, you know. So that was how I began.
David has revealed a crucial bit of the jigsaw, his origin story. Every superhero has one. Superman lands from space in a field on Earth. Many of the X-Men get their superpowers in their teenage years. And Spider-Man, well, he got bitten by a spider. But what's David's motive? His driver? I need to know. Is there anything else from his childhood that I can glean? His manager's known him for a long time, spends every day with him. Maybe she'll know. Caroline?
One thing I learned a couple of weeks ago is he used to skip around the streets of Paris barefoot. I don't know where he went to school. I know he studied communication. I know he became a DJ around the age of 14, and he learnt to mix using Billie Jean, one record, and what he could hear on the radio. He didn't have 2 decks. But yeah, it's always about what's next and what happened today and where we're going tomorrow, rather than what happened when we were 6 or 7.
Computer, Beats.
Yes, Greg.
Is there anything in the archive of David talking about his family?
Downloading.
My family is very strange. So, how can I say? Okay, the real story is I grew up in a very, very left-wing family. And me being a rebel was, I want to make money, I want to, be an entrepreneur. So I started be a promoter. For example, And I got no respect for that from my parents. I became a very successful promoter. I became a club owner, a restaurant owner. And my mom was like, you know, capitalism, you know what I mean? And then one day I said, look, I'm not happy with this life, which was true. And I'm gonna stop everything just to make music. Any parents would go, you crazy, don't do that, think of your career, your situation. My mom was like, finally I'm proud of you. So it's just not a normal family.
Not getting far here, am I? And I'm in danger of turning into some quack amateur psychologist. I need to know, what was the moment that he knew he wanted to be a sonic superhero DJ?
Really early, I played in clubs. I was 17 and I was already, like a resident DJ. What's interesting is that, I so wanted to be a DJ, but I was not connected to anyone. And the only job that I found was in a gay club. And then I discovered house music, because as people might not know, but house music was born in gay clubs in America. And, me playing in that club, what I've done from the start was try to see what was going on in the other gay clubs in the US.
I discovered that at the age of 17, David set up a house music party in Paris, and so would head over to London to get his records.
And the first time I went there, what happened is I was, oh my God, I will never forget this. I went for a weekend, and I went to Shoom. And that day, everything changed for me, because, in the clubs where I was working, the DJ was totally hidden, People wouldn't even know who the DJ was. And in all a second, I see this guy standing on stage with all the lights on him, and everybody was dancing facing the DJ. So of course today this is totally normal, but at the time it was a revolution. And I'm like, wow, that's what I want to do, And I went to Black Market, I gave all the money I had, everything, and I said, please give me all the records, because I didn't have time to listen to them. I just want house music. Give me everything you have for this amount of money. And and I started my first house music night after this. Since then my life was changed.
All the crazy I did tonight, those will be the best memories. I just wanna let it go for the night. That would be the best therapy for me. All the crazy I did tonight.
I'm Greg James, and you're listening to Sonic Superhero, the story of David Guetta on BBC Radio 1. So, I had found out David's DJ origin story. A teenage boy gripped by music with the desire to play it to people. But it's not just his DJ credentials that have brought him to our attention. He makes music. I have to get deeper into the audio frequencies of David's brainwaves to understand how he'd started making music rather than just playing it in clubs. The kick-ass team that Computer Beats has set up for me will lead the way. Who do they see as David Guetta, the producer? Jessie J. Oh! How do you work this thing?
Ow!
Oh, hang on. I think I've got it. Here we go. Right. Control, Shift, Jessie J.
You know what was amazing about the song that I did with David, the repeat, but especially Laserlight, is that he allowed the music to be a massive carrier, but also the vocal. It was very much a marriage. It wasn't your normal kind of dance DJ big beat that was just a tiny hook that kind of got replayed. He let me make a song on something, but also made the beat so big that carried it as well. And that's what I learned. I learned that you don't always have to sing all the way through the song to make it great. The melody is something that people remember more so often than the lyrics.
And longtime collaborator, gospel singer Chris Willis.
What I think is unique about working with David, which we would call his supersonic power, is he's really good at putting elements together. I remember from the early days, the fascination with the 80s, and really an electronic reinvention of the 80s was really so unique and inspiring. I mean, we played along with a lot of references from the Eurythmics to really take something that was old and polish it off and make it new. David's really, really good at that. And then moving forward in time, I remember him being very fascinated with hip-hop and R&B and really trying to figure out a way to infuse that into the electronic world. And lo and behold, this is what the revolution is to this day.
The man himself has his own story.
What happened is I started to play hip-hop. I know it's kind of strange, but I would play some hip-hop nights and I would play some house nights. And at the time, I'm talking now, it was around like 89, everything was based on samples. So I started to learn how to sample, and I started to do remixes. Like I would hear a record that I like or that has a part that I like, but it's the way it was formatted wouldn't fit, in a club. So I would start to remix a record so that it could fit to my DJ set. And actually, this is how it began. Just liking a record and changing the drums and sometimes the bass line so I can play it in a club. And even now, when I make a record that is missing in my DJ set.
Meanwhile, someone, somewhere was consuming our sonic superhero's music. Right at the beginning, superstar DJ himself, Pete Tong.
When I first heard David's music, I liked it. I'd be honest with you and say I wasn't blown away by it. I thought it was a kind of European take on house music. And, he seemed really, really keen and really, really humble. And, the record sounded good on the radio. I didn't find myself playing them out in clubs that much. That changed when Wally Lopez did a remix of Just a Little More Love. Then people started to sit up and take notice.
I make records that I want to play as a DJ. So for me, of course now my music is crossing over and is being played on the radio, But the way it happened is that first I wanted to make the people dance. And at that time, I have to be honest, I was very close-minded. It was like, I don't want to listen to rock. I don't want to listen to this. I don't want to listen to that. It was only like, okay, if it's not house music, then I wouldn't even listen, And then when you start making music, you start to try to understand how you make music. And then you start to realize, what those other people are doing is not so simple. It's actually quite interesting. And I started to also listen different types of music because I wanted to, find samples. I wanted to find chord progressions that were interesting and that I could still to create my own music, And that's how I started to be way more open-minded musically, and that's probably how I became a better producer.
Just a little more love, just a little more peace. It's all it takes to live a dream. Walk hand in hand, understand. And one day too, we'll live in harmony.
You are listening to Sonic Superhero, the story of David Guetta on BBC Radio 1 with Greg James.
David Guetta, a sonic superhero? He's the man I've been tasked with uncovering more about. Grammy Award winner, multi-platinum album sales, legendary showman, the man of the wheels of steel, the man of steel, Superman. Anyway, yes, let's continue. A superhero is defined by his superpower. In all the comic books I've read, which is at least 2, these can be gained in freak accidents, like Spider-Man being bitten by a spider, or maybe you're born with it, like Superman. Is making music David Guetta's superpower, or merely the thing that keeps him going?
I feel like if I'm not making music, playing music, or talking about music, everything is in slow motion. It's like I just want to go to bed. It's so boring.
I think Jessie J will have some answers on this. The last of the team to have worked with David on his latest album and on her single Laserlight. Jessie, what is it like making music with David?
You know what, the funniest thing is that David and I have never ever been in the studio together at the same time. I was in maybe Germany and I think he was in France, and he phoned me and was like, I've got this track and I want you to be on my album. And I was like, okay, cool. So he basically sent me the track and I wrote repeat, I sent it back. He said, how about we do this and do that? He sent it back. I worked on it, sent it back, and he was like, it's cool, let's put it on the album. So it's always been back and forth. We've never actually been in the same room together and worked together before.
But David Guetta has a musical identity, a musical signature that pings out of the radio at you. The sound defines him. It will live on longer than him. It will be his legacy. You can destroy a man, but you will never destroy his ability to play the piano with 2 fingers.
That's a good start, right? Now what happens?
It's a pretty good idea.
Is that okay?
Yeah, it's a good progression.
Good.
Let's dial up to Pete Tong again. He can explain this musical mark.
Well, he's had 2. He's had the staccato piano, the holding piano chord, which was featured on the kind of first half of his career to date. Every song was that dun 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 dun, and then more recently, you know, from the kind of era of him integrating with the world of hip hop and R&B, it's been the kind of single note, you know, like E.T., you know, the 3 notes progression, which got brilliantly mimicked by the French TV show that's like the equivalent of Spitting Image. 2 very strong ideas, 2 very strong hands that he's brought to making music. But he's always been in love with house music, and house music in the most old school sense of a big, you know, diva-ish male or female vocal, and pianos and big chords, you know.
Just a little more love, just a little more peace is all it takes to live a dream. I can spin my world into reverse.
You are titanium.
When a sound has success, there are followers, people who want to ride the wave even. Let's see now. Beats?
Yes, Greg.
Who from the team can inform me on the impact David has had on popular music?
Connecting with Ben Murphy, editor of DJ Mag. Connected.
Hey Ben, what's happening, brother? Are there any other artists now creating this David Guetta sound?
I definitely think there's lots of other people doing it, but I definitely think that it was him who, you know, he trailblazed that path very much so, and now people are copying him. It's become the sort of route to success now in the States. Now you've got homegrown talents in the States, like people who are pure pop acts like LMFAO. They're tapping into that kind of hip-hop mixed with electro house sound, and things like Black Eyed Peas doing very kind of overtly, obviously he collaborated with them, but they're doing very, very overtly sort of dance tracks now, and that's due almost entirely to the David Guetta effect.
And it seems that David Guetta is fully aware of this effect.
This new sound that was kind of a bridge that I created between, you know, electronic European culture and urban American culture became the new standard of pop music. And then I was like, whoa, I have to create something new, because I don't want to make what everybody's making, even though if it's my own sound. And that's when we did Titanium.
Another massive smash hit.
Yeah, and I was really happy that I was able to reinvent my sound, because then they put a stamp on you, and you the guy that made the sound that is starting to be dated. So I anticipated this, and even though that sound is still huge, I did, you know, Titanium, that for me is one of the best records I've done in my whole life. You know, not only a record to make people dance, but also to make them emotional, you know.
I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, ricochet, you take your aim. Far away.
I quite like all the different David Guetta sounds though, because I think I'm a bit of a David Guetta nerd. Like I remember the first song I heard. I'd never heard of you before, and I heard this song and I was like, it was you got me dancing and crying, rolling and flying. I was like, what's this? This is amazing. And it was like, and someone said, oh, it's this guy David Guetta and The Egg. I went, oh, right, okay, it sounds great. And I remember the first time that I heard I Got a Feeling as well. I remember exactly where I was. I was in a club on a boys' holiday in Lanzarote, and this song came on, and it just went, I got a feeling, and everyone went, ooh. And because I'm such a nerd, I stopped dancing and listened to it, and then went up to the DJ and went, right, what's this song? Tell me what this is. What is it? I need this. What is it? What is it? And he went, oh, it's Black Eyed Peas. David Guetta's done a new song. I went, oh, it's amazing. I need it straight away. So and for me, that song sums up that boys' holiday, and that's where I heard of that song.
That's wonderful. It's something that is really, really touching for me. When people tell me that, a song that I've made represents for them a moment of their life. If I think of those holidays, that happy moment, it was about I Got a Feeling.
It was.
Sometimes people tell me, I fell in love on When Love Takes Over, and now we're married, and it's like, it's really beautiful to be able to stay in people's heart, with a happy moment of their life.
I love David Guetta as his songs are the soundtrack of some of the best moments of my life.
So, David targets his music at your heart, as well as producing dance floor fillers. I think it's time to call on one of the rookies, one of the new guys, Nicky Romero, new upcoming DJ and producer, is working with Guetta on new songs. Nicky, still on the phone? Beats, connect me.
Connected.
Hey, Greg.
Nicky, what makes David sound? What makes him a sonic superhero producer?
I think David's superpower is the knowledge of music that works. Every time when I send him something, he hears directly what needs to change and what needs to be different in sounds or arrangement. So I think his talent is just extremely, his knowledge about music and, elements that work together. Next to DJing, that's the biggest talent he has, if you ask me.
It's just hit me. Collaboration. David Guetta has the superpower that involves bringing things together, a facilitator, if you will. Am I right, Caroline?
He shares everything he does equally, whether it's with an Usher or a will.i.am, or it's a Nicky Romero or an Avicii, So maybe that's what it is that makes him special.
Gospel singer Chris Willis.
I have to say that the thing I've learned most about working with David is the power of collaboration. I think sometimes a talent can be unique on its own, standing in a corner, but when it's combined with 2 or 3 other talents that may have power or ability in another area, the combination takes that one unique talent to a whole new level that without the collaborative effort may never have been truly brought to full development.
You got me dancing and crying, rolling and flying. Love, don't let me go.
I've done big hits with Chris Willis that is someone that really, really influenced me, because as I said at the beginning, all I was trying to do is make people dance. And him coming from the gospel world, brought all those harmonies, and I've learned so much about how to make a song, and not only drums and a cool bass line, but also chord progressions and harmonies, and that was because obviously in gospel, harmony is so important. I've learned that from him.
Love Don't Let Me Go came to life much like many of the other songs. David is really good at capturing a phrase or a word. I enjoy taking those phrases and words and playing the rhyming game. The clue for this particular song in the studio was dancing and crying, the whole idea that you're happy but you're also crying. And I took dancing and crying and rhymed rolling and flying and Love Don't Let Me Go, and it just kind of put it together. And I think I may have had 2 or 3 other ideas, and I played the 2 kind of most mediocre ideas first, but when I played dancing and crying, rolling and flying, he was like, oh yeah, that's the one. And that's how that came to be.
Dancing and crying, dancing and crying, dancing and crying. Hey.
I, Greg James, have been tasked with the challenge of investigating Guetta, a sonic superhero. The journey so far has been revealing. David Guetta, at the age of 14, charging his mates to get into his garage discos at home, working his way through the clubs of Paris, coming to the UK to discover that the DJ was a superstar, and then he starts to make records to fill his set. And he bloody loves it. But the one thing that everyone knows David Guetta for are his collaborations. His superhero team-ups have brought him some of the biggest success, like the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, and Dick and Dom. David Guetta wields a power through his mobile phone like no other. I mean, hello?
Hello?
No, shut up. I'm being rhetorical. I mean, hello?
Hello?
No, shut up. Who doesn't want to hook up with Guetta? Akon did it. Kelly Rowland did it. Scott Mills?
All I need is for you to say yes, and we're go to produce next year's entry from Moldova. I've got Lady Gaga on vocals.
Okay, I'm ready.
You ready?
I'm signing.
I've got David Guetta as my producer, everybody.
So let's fast forward to today, and you do work with the biggest names in the world. I mean, you pick up the phone, you can get anybody on your track. How did these? I mean, you must be a king of networking, because you've got everyone on speed dial, from Akon to Kelly Rowland, will.i.am. All these people are Flow Rider are wanting to do songs with you. How did it all come about? What was the first one you thought, oh, that's okay, I'll work with that person because he's a massive megastar?
Okay, actually, the very, very first time was Kelly Rowland, and that was the first time I got the opportunity to work with a big name.
David and I met in the south of France. It sounds like some beginning of a romantic novel, but it was so funny because I'm still a fan, but a fan of David's at the time, and I was just like, oh my God, me and Solange would hear David's records in the clubs and go crazy here in Europe. And so finally we got the opportunity to possibly meet him in the south of France, and I was like, oh my God, I have to meet David. And when I finally met him, and it was his wife Kathy was there as well, I fell in love with his spirit first. It was very easy. I never ever connect with people. It's always something there that's weird. But I instantly liked David. And after that, he started playing tracks, and I started loving him even more. And I'm just like, oh my God, this sound, because at the time I was really bored with R&B, and I wanted something refreshing. And I felt like he was like a breath of fresh air, to be completely honest with you. I still feel that way to this day. There's a reason why we met at the certain time that we met. It was just, everything was just so ordered. So when he played the track for When Love Takes Over, I cried because I was like, oh my God, this just is so amazing. Later I thought about it, what was he thinking when he made this track? There's so much emotion behind it. It's big, it has such a great presence. And I came back to London, as a matter of fact, and I asked him, could I take the track with me? And he said yes. Came back to London, wrote the song with Mim and Liv, who are incredible writers, and sent it back to him.
But then, in the distance on the horizon, you could hear a faint bing, 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 bing. On an audio frequency sent to shock and awe, I Got a Feeling happened.
Almost on the same week, I had a phone call from will.i.am. And for the first time, someone was asking me to be a producer. And, it was like, yo, I love this record, Love Is Gone. Do you think you can do something for us like this? I'm preparing the new album of Black Eyed Peas, and I would love to have that kind of vibe. And I'm like, yeah, of course, So I just used the same guitar sound, and I've sent him the beat of I Got a Feeling, And at the time we didn't meet yet, So he called me yo, this record is so crazy, He was jumping up and down, and then he was on the phone and he started to sing the melody, and I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'm like, this is so big, this is so big. And I went straight to Los Angeles, but you have to understand that everything I've done until that moment was always in a home studio that was 3 meters on 3 meters, really, really small room, you know. In all a second, you know, I found myself in the biggest studio in Los Angeles with the Black Eyed Peas, with every major artist that is coming to say hello. I'm literally shaking. Like my whole body is shaking because I'm so impressed to be there, you know. And then all those artists and managers are coming to see me work. So not only there was the Black Eyed Peas, but there was also Puffy, and there was also they sent the manager of 50 Cent to see what I was doing. There was like the whole Universal team was here looking at me, and I was like, this is terrible. And at some point I had to go out because I was so nervous, you know. I had to go out to the bathroom. I just wanted to put water on my face, and I bumped into Pharrell. And I was like, oh my God, this is too much for me. I'm just gonna faint, you know. And because it was like the little boy, you know, being in the middle of the, you know, the real thing, you know.
Fill up my cup, drink, Mazel Tov, look at her dancing, just take it off.
For me, as a French DJ producer, there was nothing bigger than Daft Punk, you know. It was the first time with Daft Punk that there was an international French artist. And I'm like, this might be almost as big as One More Time. You know, I never thought it was gonna be even way bigger, you know, because for me it was impossible to beat One More Time, you know, impossible. And you know, well, I Got a Feeling was one of the biggest hits ever, you know.
It's the biggest downloaded track of all time.
Yeah, and that was my first experience as a producer, you know, and that's why I'm very thankful to what I am, because this record changed my life.
It's the most downloaded track of all time. And there's David Guetta going, it's just the first thing I made as a producer for someone else. Ridiculous. David seems unassuming, modest, but the door has opened. He's now playing with the big fish.
Just after that, we made Sexy Chick with Akon, and then, you know, I never stopped.
She's nothing like a girl you've ever seen before. Nothing you can compare to your neighborhood. I'm trying to find the words to describe this girl without being disrespectful. Damn girl, she's a sexy chick, a sexy chick. Damn, she's a sexy chick, a sexy chick. Damn, she's a sexy chick, a sexy chick. Damn, she's a sexy chick. Damn girl.
I'm Greg James, and you're listening to Sonic Superhero, the story of David Guetta on BBC Radio 1. No superhero, Sonic or otherwise, does it on their own.
You know, there's an old expression that says behind every great man, there's a great woman. I think most definitely key to David's superhero powers is his good wife, Kathy.
Ah, of course. Kathy Guetta, the love of David's life, his wife. And you have to hear the story of how they met.
First, I got in a club and I saw her, and I was like, wow. And I was with like 3 friends of mine, and I was like, look at that girl, you know. And then the day after, she came to the club, and this time I was DJing, so I gave all my best tricks. I was totally showing off because you know, I was at the time one of the few DJs to be so technical, and I went to speak to her, and the first thing I said is, alors je lui ai dit, tu vas venir avec moi ce soir, à partir d'aujourd'hui on ne se quitte plus, et on va avoir une vie merveilleuse, on va se marier, avoir des enfants, et avoir une vie pleine de succès et une vie très excitante.
Translating.
Look, you're gonna come back with me tonight, and I'm never gonna leave you again. We're gonna spend all our life together. We're gonna have an amazing life with success. We're gonna get married, have kids, and it's gonna be beautiful. So imagine, she obviously thought I was totally crazy, because that's not the kind of thing you usually say the first time you speak to a girl. But I kept my word.
Oh, come on. I mean, do you really believe that David Guetta knew this woman would be by his side forever? What a lad. David and Kathy came up with a night that David made his name through. A night meant to be a fun take on fame, because at the time, he wasn't very famous. It was called F Me, I'm Famous. Over to you, Ben Murphy of DJ Mag.
The F Me, I'm Famous parties are hugely important because they represent the club side, it represents the credible dance music side, because, you know, it's held at Pasha. Pasha is one of the most chic, kind of respected, long-running venues in Ibiza. The fact that F Me, I'm Famous takes place there, that has its own sort of cultural cachet to it, which is hugely important. Also the kind of calibre of some of the guests which he books there, and the level of high production values of the night, and also the fact that it's the place to be seen. It's considered to be a very glamorous place in Ibiza. All those elements contribute to David's credibility and to his standing as a DJ as opposed to a pop star.
Kelly Rowland.
Everybody looks famous. You know what I mean? Like, especially the way the party is thrown. Like, it's like the F Me, I'm Famous, like the lights and the way they like coordinate everything. Like, it's a stage show, and everybody in there is a dancer, a singer, a choreographer, like a band player. Like, somebody's a part of the show, and they're all famous. It's so high.
David Guetta live and on the decks. This has to be David's superpower.
I love David Guetta because he's like one of the best DJs I've seen in Ibiza. Live performance, he's probably one of the best DJs I've seen. And he had a robot, like Predator, shooting fireworks out everywhere. That was amazing.
David's live act is part of his rise to sonic superhero. David now plays to enormous crowds, including playing to, wait for it, 2 million people on a beach in Brazil to welcome in the new year. Beats, what does Jessie J say about all this?
Connected. He's got so much energy. You see him and he doesn't stand still. He's kind of like nodding his head, and he's got a great head nod. I like anyone with a good head nod is good in my books.
When tasked with trying to find out everything about David Guetta, the truth is, it all comes together when he plays live. His showmanship, his music, and his party.
First, I would play for the girls and make everybody feel safe, because they came to see a David Guetta show, so they want to hear what they know David Guetta for. You know, beautiful melodies, emotional music, and driving beats. And then, when they're in the palm of my hands, then I want to take them somewhere they're not expecting to go. And that's a very important moment. And then I'm going to take them somewhere really, you know, like darker and more progressive. And they're like, ooh, you know, and because they're already into it, they're gonna follow me in that place, you know, and then after half an hour, some people are gonna be, because, you know, you have to understand that some people are my original fans from when I started only as a DJ, so they really know electronic music, but I also have fans that heard my records on the radio, you know, and they want to hear those hits, you know, and for me, I'm not gonna play like if it was on the radio, it's boring, you know, so after half an hour, some people are starting to be like, "Huh, what's going on here? You know, I don't know any of those beats, you know." And then I'm gonna, you know, like drop it down and you know, go really emotional, you know, and drill it again, you know, so they feel safer again, you know, and then probably then it's gonna go deeper and more like, you know, trippy, you know. And I would keep like a really beautiful record at the end, you know, like, you know, I don't know, like maybe the Usher record, or, you know, something without you, you know, something that people can sing along to, and that's usually how I finish.
the same without you. Without you. Without you.
You are listening to Sonic Superhero, the story of David Guetta on BBC Radio 1 with Greg James.
Hey, Beats.
Hello, Greg. Thank you for uploading your information. Our intel is improved 100%.
No worries. The idea that David Guetta is a bit of a sonic superhero runs deeper than just a few achievements, don't you think?
Not quite.
What do you mean?
Every superhero has their weakness. What is David Guetta's kryptonite?
Oh, alright, okay, yeah, chill out. I've got some of that as well. Here, look. Control, Shift, Pete Tong.
I think if David's got a weakness, he probably is he doesn't sleep. He's constantly on the go. He constantly wants to work. He constantly wants to write. He's got it in his head. And I think that was one of the great misunderstood things about him was everyone was saying a few years ago, you know, he's great. He's obviously got a good ear, yeah, but there's always someone else doing it. And yeah, you know, he has help, but you take him out of the mix, and it doesn't work. So, you know, he's much more hands-on than people think. Every producer I've met that he's bounced off like Afrojack said, you know, don't, you know, David's a serious guy. You know, I can help him with beats, but I couldn't do what he does.
What frustrates me about him, if anything, and it's the yin and the yang, is he's relentless. He never stops. He never takes a break. So neither can I.
Out of all the achievements, because you've taken over the world musically, everyone wants to work with you, you've got massive hits all over the country. David Guetta, tell me something that you're terrible at. There must be something. Are you rubbish at football or something?
Oh, I am so rubbish at football, you have no idea. It's embarrassing because, you know, I have a son that is 8 years old. And of course he plays football. And, you know, every son wants to be proud of his dad because every son wants his dad to be the strongest man on the planet, but also the best football player. And it's really embarrassing because my 8 years old son is a better football player than me, you know, so it's really terrible. But it's basically, you're asking what I'm rubbish at. It's very simple. Everything that is not related to being a DJ or making music, more or less I'm rubbish because I don't do anything else. So, you know, it's like imagine that I'm not living on this planet, you know, like people think I'm from Earth, but I actually live in Jupiter. So I don't really know what's going on this planet. I don't really know anything that is going on TV or on the radio or, you know, I know a little bit of what's going on in the clubs because I go there when I perform, you know. But aside from this, all I do is be in my hotel room with my headphones on and making beats. So sometimes it's really embarrassing, you know, because, you know, usually like I have to do, you know, some TV shows and sometimes, you know, on TV shows, for some strange reason, they love to invite other TV stars, you know, and I find myself with other guests and I have no clue who they are, but apparently they're very famous, you know, and it's always like that. And I really look like an idiot because, you know, I don't know what these people are talking about, because if you want to speak about, you know, how to make the quickest sidechain and how to compress the best, I can speak about this forever, but that's really all I do. I know it sounds really boring, but it makes me really happy. So at the end of the day, I think we on planet Earth to be happy.
Beats! Look, he's even talking like a superhero now. What more do you need? From another planet? He's certainly more than human, eh?
Indeed. Is there anything bad anyone has to say about David Guetta?
All right, Lex Luthor. Can he do anything right? Right, the team here can help. What do you think, Ben?
He does get a lot of flack from certain sections of the dance community. I mean, ultimately, I think people get fed up because they perceive someone having a lot of success with what they perceive to be a very accessible style, which they consider to be more pop music than actually true dance music. And also, I think perhaps some elements of the trance community, when David got the top spot in 2011 in the DJ Mag Top 100 DJs poll, there were a lot of naysayers on the trance side. They were up in arms about the fact that Armin van Buuren had been displaced after 4 years at the top, and that's very much part of the kind of the trance crowd disliking the fact that house music perhaps is it has become a more popular style again.
The thing about success is that it always comes with people that love what you do and a minority of people who criticize what you do. That's just the way it is. The true genius is in those who are able to navigate both of those groups with elegance and style. And I think David handles that really quite well.
Uploaded David Guetta, Intel.
It's all there. All of it. Our sonic superhero. I think you've got plenty of information on him right now. I even got some info on what's to come.
I have a new single coming up called I Can Only Imagine with Chris Brown and Lil Wayne. Where do I have? I started a more underground label called Jackback Records that is only on Beatport, and because as much as I'm of course really happy of that success, that crossover success, for me it's really important to stay grounded, keep on making beats for DJs, because my original motivation is that. And I made this record that I really love. It's called Metropolis, that I've done with Nicky Romero, which is for me the most talented new DJ producer of the moment. And I'm really excited about this, as well as I'm excited about this insane record that I just finished for Ludacris and Usher. And trust me, it's gonna be on your radio.
Really? Is that? Well, I like it.
It's like, it sounds a little bit conceited, but that's how sure I am. I really feel like, wow. I love both worlds, and it got me a little bit of criticism sometimes, because I always refuse to be in one box. But for me, it's I just love music. And I love crazy dark electronic beats, that just want to make you do crazy things and jump up and down in a club and nothing else. And I also love, making beautiful songs that are gonna stay in people's hearts, and I refuse to choose one or the other, and sometimes, and this is where I'm really happy, is when I manage to do both at the same time, the crazy beats with the crazy dark, sad beat with the beautiful love song. That's the ultimate achievement for me.
So the future is looking pretty rosy for our superhero, and to coin a phrase, there are even more planned team-ups with the likes of his friend and fellow DJ and producers Afrojack and Nicky Romero.
Yeah, I met David. It was really funny because he emailed me for the first time about my remix for Flesh that I did for Green Velvet, and he was asking me how I did the bass line and the kick, and he was very interested of the details about the remix, which I found really cool, because you don't need too many really big names that are interested in the small bits and pieces of your remix. So after that he asked me if I could do a remix for him for his single "Where Them Girls At" together with Florida and Nicki Minaj, which I did, of course.
But I'm interested to find out whether David's changed or not.
The good thing, for those privileged to know him, he hasn't really changed that much. In a funny sort of way, he's just doing the same thing as he always did. And I think the world has changed. So I don't think he's got more pop or more underground or more this, that and the other. He's still making the same record as he was at the beginning in my mind. He's just got better studios, he's got better at it, he's got better support system. He's finding and developing other producers around the edges and bringing them into the mix, like Afrojack and Nicky Romero. He's got a better phone book now. He's got better, just better tools to do what he wants to do. So he calls will.i.am instead of calling Chris Willis. He calls, Kelly Rowland or Usher instead of, whatever singers he had on his first album. And so he's doing a much better version of what he did back in 2002. But for my money, he hasn't really changed that much.
David Guetta, sonic superhero. In my guise as a sneaky Radio 1 presenter, I've gotten the lowdown on Mr. Guetta. I now understand what makes David stand out from the rest. I understand the power he has in those 2 fingers to create music worldwide. I understand that he got the bug of making music as early as the 1980s. And with the parties, the collaborations and the international success.
What I'm trying to do with my music as a producer and with what I'm doing as a DJ is to bring people together. I created a bridge between electronic music from Europe that was supposed to be for white people and urban music from America that was supposed to be for black people. I played in gay clubs and in straight clubs. I played in VIP clubs and in raves. And I think every ghetto is boring and I want everybody to be together. So that's what I'm trying to do with my music.
And there it is. The need to bring people together and change the world, it seems, through music. Oh, and party, and party, and party, and party, and party, and so on.
Keep calm and listen to David Guetta.
So, David, when you're back in Radio 1, because I've been learning the piano recently, and I've learnt a couple of your songs, will you collaborate with me? Because I can play Where Them Girls At on the piano. I can do that. So many girls in here, where do I begin? I see this one, I'm about to go in. So I can play that. So, I mean, we can work through a little tune together. Would we collaborate? Is that okay?
Why not? We can always try.
I'd love to.
But listen, don't worry about the piano, because to tell you the truth, I'm really not an amazing piano player,
Me neither. We're a match made.
No, but what I mean is that you can create music and write music even if you're not like the most amazing technician, and I think that's what is so amazing today with laptop music, is that you can really program beautiful music by ears.
Every day there's a new level. It's like climbing to the top of a mountain and thinking you've got there, and then looking over and seeing there's an even higher peak and an even higher peak.
My manager asked me before doing this interview, you know what a superhero is, right? And and I called my studio Iron Man Studio. So I know, yes, I know what a superhero is.
David Guetta, are you a sonic superhero?
Yes, of course, but from a different planet.
David Guetta, file closed.
BBC Radio